Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to just be talking about a sample rough draft that somebody turned in. So if you have some questions about what you're supposed to do for your rough draft, you can look at this and see. Oh, I realize I've got my glasses on. I sometimes wear two pairs of glasses, so I haven't been wearing glasses in my video, but if I wear them I have to have two. Um, so uh, there were some questions about there's some certain questions that I've been getting from students about their drafts, and so I want to go over some of these in the video. So this is what I have here is one draft that I thought was it's good. It's moving in the right direction, definitely. It's not perfect, but it has some really good stuff in it. So the first thing I want to talk about those has to do with formatting, because that was something that some students are having some questions about. I had the MLA formatting video, and so most of you are pretty much on target with having your last name and the page number, having your name. I've taken the student's name out and I've called them sample student, so their last name is student. It's up there and it's got the page number. It's got my name. It should have my full name, right? It's got the name of the course and it's got the date. But some of you might have seen, I might have put in your comments that you've got extra space in there. Excuse me. And some of you might have said, well, I didn't put any extra space in there. I only hit return once. Well, let me show you how to get rid of that extra space, because you can see there, it seems like there's extra space and extra space right there. If I do Control A on the computer, it selects all. And then I go right up here to this place where it says paragraph, right? And it's got a little button that I can click in here. And I get this dialog box. And this dialog box, I had mentioned this before, this is where you set up your first line indent. It's already kind of set in that document, and it'll mess it up if I try and do it again. It's got double space. But one of the issues here, down here where it says spacing, before and 0 point, and then after it says auto. What you want to make sure that these two things are both set at 0. Okay, and click this space that says do not add space between paragraphs of the same style. So as long as these two things are at 0 and this box is checked, I click that, and now all that space goes away. Okay, and so watch out, because again, you can't fix it by deleting spaces, because there's not any extra space in there. The other thing is some people see how this is moved over in, because you've created, every time you hit enter, it says to make a new paragraph. So it moves it in ½ an inch, but this is supposed to be all the way over to the left here. So if I just select it and I have this ruler up here, see this ruler says that this little top little button here says every new paragraph gets indented ½ of an inch, and the rest of them go over here. So I can just drag this over here. And you can in fact do that for if you're having problems with your margins anywhere else. You can do that as well. You can bring your margins in or out using that using those buttons. So that's just some formatting things. Now this is formatted perfectly. This is exactly how we need to have it. It's got page number. It's got name, my name, 102, the date. Title is not underlined. It should not be. That's just a spelling thing, because it doesn't recognize those words. And so that's what it should look like. Let's look at what's happening with the ideas here, the actual writing that we have. So it says in here, living in America is not always easy, especially if you are an immigrant or first-generation American citizen. And again, a general statement that is leading into what we're going to be talking about in the poem, so that makes some sense. Although American, I should say America, is well known for helping individuals create a better lifestyle for themselves, that is not always the case, right? Probably be a comma there would make more sense. In the poem Dothead, we always quote the title of our poem, so if you see that in your thing, it should be quoted. In the poem Dothead by Amit Majmudar, the poet uses metaphorical language to express how challenging it is for someone to physically represent their culture, all while standing proud for what they believe in, right? And so what's good about this person mentions metaphorical language in their thesis, and they talk about the big idea, which is how challenging it is to physically represent their culture. You can maybe rephrase that differently, but I think the idea is that there is a a dot, seeing the dot on the head, and that's being physically represented, and so it's difficult, how challenging it is to represent that culture in some kind of physical way, all while standing proud for what they believe in, right? And we can see that that's what's happening in the poem, is that the poet is standing proud for what he believes in, right? He refuses to let the other kids make fun of him. So we're going to talk about how the metaphors help us understand this whole idea, and that's what we're looking for the thesis. And so then we can look at some specifics that are going on here. So Emmett, and we should use his last name. Always use the poet's last name, right? Look what that did. It messed up my formatting. I don't know why I did it that way. Let's do it this way. Sometimes formatting does strange things like that. I don't know why. But in any case, it should be Majmudar. I don't know why the formatting keeps doing that. All right. But in any case, we'll put his last name. I'll just send it back to what it was. So Majmudar demonstrates this by using metaphorical language to express the bizarre thoughts people may have when talking about the third eye in Indian culture. Okay, we have to quote that little word that comes out of there, and that's correct. In line 3, it states, it's not some freak third eye that opens on the forehead like some Chernobyl baby, meaning that people make assumptions that the third eye is something straight out of a horror movie. And see what this person is doing is saying that, look, that metaphor of the Chernobyl baby is used to say, see how people think this is like something out of a horror movie. This is going to be something really bizarre and strange. You should be afraid of it, right? Watch out for those people who wear, who have those dots on their foreheads. There's something scary about them, right? And so that metaphor is saying that's how people might think about that, right? But he is kind of wants to show that, see, that's the kind of difficulty that he has, is that people have those kinds of assumptions, right? So people make the assumptions that the third eye is something straight out of a horror movie. As the poet uses Chernobyl, this should be double quoted here. You don't ever use, there's no need ever really to use single quotes here. As the poet uses Chernobyl as an example of comparison, he is demonstrating that people view the third eye as some birth defect that people have when coming into contact with the Chernobyl disaster. That happened. Word missing. However, this is not the case. The third eye did not come from the Chernobyl disaster, but is rather known in Indian culture for containing occult power and wisdom in the forehead from a deity, which is known as the god Shiva. Another way the poet, so it's saying, look, people may see it as something scary, but it's not. And that metaphor is helping us understand that. And so that's moving in the right direction. Another way the poet uses metaphorical language is through the comparison of what the third eye, should be double quoted, really is. In line 8. Line 8 says, it shows the X that says where the treasure's at is not the treasure, but as good as treasure. This shows that the poet is comparing the famous saying, X marks the spot, to explain that the eye is metaphorically an X, which is the treasure, right? However, when the line says the treasure is at, treasures at is not treasure, but as good as treasure, the poet is expressing that the third eye is not only seen as treasure, but far more special than treasure. This is because of what the third eye has to offer is much greater than anything. So the idea that some people may say that the third eye is like a Chernobyl baby, that it's going to be something out of a horror movie, right? Some people may say that, but in actuality, when he uses this metaphor of the treasure, he's saying that it is going to be something that is, it has something to offer, which is much greater, right? So it is going to be special. And so from those specific metaphors, I did a formatting thing, because of those specific metaphors, we're going to understand the larger idea here. So keep that in mind. That's what we should be having here. And so as you are working through your own rough drafts, turn them into final drafts, if you have those comments from me about issues with not being able to explain what the metaphors mean, keep this in mind. And I've got the entire document posted in Blackboard, so you can look through, because I think the person is doing some good work with some of the other examples. So you can read through that and see what it is that, how it is that you can potentially be exploring the metaphors in some kind of deeper way. So look at all that and then make your changes on your final draft accordingly.